All of you know we have had a campaign, a vitamin G campaign for gratitude. Gratitude is one of the simplest evidence based practices that if we engage in it every morning, every night, our stress is going to go down, our mood is going to improve. I want to give a huge dose of vitamin G to all of the leaders from all of these units that really work together to create the best wellness and caring culture that we could have here, as well as the evidence based programming that we do. So if you are a member of our One University wide wellness team and council, would you please stand up for some vitamin G today? I want to give a special shout out today to Tasneem Matawala, who's a terrific statistician who works really hard to put data together for us. Tasneem, thank you so much. Along with Melissa Walters, Steph Morrow, and I want to give a shout out to my own Buckeye Wellness team, Megan, Maya, Josh, Brenda, Nicole, Lauren, just so many people that work so hard to really enhance our health and well-being. Sitting is killing us. We know that. And I always bring evidence to all of you. You know, I've long had a philosophy: in God we trust, but everybody else better bring data to the table. I've got a ton of data to show you that sitting is truly killing us, and it increases our cardiac risk and drains our energy. So please feel free throughout this state address to stand and to move, because we want to really create a moving culture here at Ohio State. How many of you would agree that the past 2.5 years have been character building? Yes? I think there's not one person in here that wouldn't say it has not been character building. If you look at the body of studies that have been done during the COVID-19 pandemic, it could depress us seriously. And although I want to point out some of this evidence, I really want to focus on all the great things that we are doing in Buckeye Nation and all the opportunities that we have. But look at some of these findings. 43% of adults say the pandemic had a negative impact on their mental health. And what's sad about the studies, they have shown our younger adults, those are largely our college students who have had serious mental health effects due to the pandemic. Since the pandemic, 25% of young adults have thought about killing themselves. Those are startling statistics. Alcohol use has also gone up significantly, especially in working professional women. A lot of people coped with COVID with some unhealthy behaviors. As a result, we did see alcohol use go up and unhealthy eating go up. Physical health also suffered. People's physical activity declined. We've got to remember 60% of adults have a chronic condition, yet 80% of chronic disease is totally preventable with just a few healthy behaviors. How many of you have children? Most of you. So you experienced even more adverse outcomes, and so did your children. About half of parents throughout the United States said their children really suffered mental health-wise during the pandemic. And almost 1 out of 2 parents said the pandemic caused major or minor mental health problems in their children. So one of my faculty came to me during the pandemic, Kate Golick, and she said, Byrne, I'm so burnt out with parenting during the pandemic. She said, we got to do something about this for our parents. And I said, Kate, what do you want to do? She said, I want to create a valid and reliable scale to measure parent burnout. And I said, Kate, do any exist? She said, there are 2, but they're from outside of the United States. So not the whole tool isn't super relevant. And I said, are there any working parent burnout scales? She said, no. I said, that's what we got to create. So we did a study here at Ohio State. We found out that 66% of our parents who responded to this survey were suffering from working parent burnout. We produced a report with evidence-based tactics and strategies to improve that. The Today Show came here, filmed us for 6 hours, and we got 6 minutes on this topic on the Today Show. But seriously, we are well aware, for those of you who are parents, and we want to provide you with all the support that we can. So what else do we know from national studies in the past 2 years? Burnout in the workforce ranges anywhere in all of these studies between 50 and 70%. That's huge. We know burnout is correlated with people having depression and clinical anxiety. So we want to pick up on burnout, which is why we measure it in our PHA. And we look at all that data by college, VP unit, medical center, hospitals. Because what we want to do is target the areas that are experiencing the most difficulty. Nearly half of employees say, my mental health got worse during the pandemic. But what was really sorry about this one study is 2/3 of employees said they don't feel comfortable talking to their manager about their stress and their mental health. Our university-wide wellness team is really focused on leaders and managers because, again, if they aren't walking the talk, if they're not supporting their employees, we're not going to move the needle that much. Lack of vitamin G is a major contributor to stress and depression. Vitamin G and recognition is so important to people. And in studies, you will see people say that means more to people than maybe an increase in salary, that they are being recognized for what they do, valued and appreciated for what they do. Mattering is another variable we measure in our national studies. And the studies we've done recently show if people perceive they matter to their organization, they have much better outcomes. Mattering matters in a big way, just like culture. People who perceive their work site as supportive of their well-being have much better outcomes. So let's take a rapid flash through some of our latest data for our Buckeyes. I want to thank all of you that participate in our PHA and biometric screen. That data again, and I'm going to show you our latest data from 2022. It's aggregated, totally de-identified, and again, our One University Health and Wellness Council, we look at this data. We say, where can we target? Which areas need it the most? So, gonna flip through these quickly, but as you will see here, we do have a lot of people, a high percentage of people who are meeting this 30 BMI weight. I don't like to focus on weight with people. I really don't. As a nurse practitioner, I want to motivate them. Focus on the healthy behaviors, the physical activity, the healthy eating, the decreased stress. But the reason we look at BMI is because once it crosses that 30-point measure, chronic disease really increases. And again, if our wellness team can get to people before they go into a chronic disease, that's where we stand a really good chance of success. Our BMI, our blood pressure have remained somewhat consistent. Hemoglobin A1C is an important indicator for prediabetes and diabetes. So we monitored that. You will see in this particular slide that about 12% of our Buckeyes fall in this pre-diabetes category. That's a red flag that just goes up if you're one of those people that have a hemoglobin A1C greater than 5.7 to say, it's a red flag. I got to get moving more. I got to eat a little bit healthier, and I have to reduce my stress. Total cholesterol and HDL, those are the happy lipids, right? The lousy lipids are the ones we want to keep low at bay. The happy lipids help wipe the lousy lipids out of our bloodstream. Cholesterol and HDL values for our Buckeyes have remained stable year after year. But we were not immune to the pandemic. Like other national studies throughout the country, our Buckeye activity risk and nutrition risk increased from 2021 to 2022. Almost 75% of our Buckeyes aren't meeting the evidence-based recommendation of 30 minutes of physical activity 5 days a week. I want you to think about activity different in that recommendation. I want you to leave here, and if you're the person in charge of meetings, I want you to totally eliminate most 60-minute meetings, 50 minutes, because if you decrease meeting time, people have then 10 minutes for recovery breaks to get up and move, walk the steps, put on some music and dance. Just move more, sit less. Research shows even 11 minutes a day of physical activity decreases your cardiac risk. We can all do at least 11 minutes a day, right? Right? Yes. Okay. Let's take a look at mental health. I'm really excited to share this with you because you might look at this and say, yeah, anxiety went up a little bit because we include valid and reliable scales in our PHA for anxiety and depression. But it stayed about the same, which is awesome. When you look at other places, and those conditions have tripled. So we are doing something right here. Depression affects 7% of our population. Again, much lower than other national studies. But 7% of our Buckeyes is still 7% too many, because we don't want people to suffer and not get help. We have fabulous resources here at Ohio State. We have preventive, evidence-based mindfulness, cognitive behavior skills building programs. We've got fabulous counselors in EAP. We will continue to focus on mental health of our Buckeyes because it's so important. If you see somebody struggling, just ask 4 little words. Are you okay today? Just those 4 little words can open an opportunity for people to say, I'm really not okay. And for you to say, it's okay not to be okay. Everybody at some point in their lives suffers from anxiety or depression. But then you can say, have you thought about calling EAP, taking one of our skills building courses to help yourself? And then everybody here should know about 988. That's the new suicide and crisis hotline number. Much easier to remember than 1-800-273-TALK. So just please know your colleagues, if you deal with students, everybody's aware of 988. These slides are busy, but we build in a valid and reliable culture scale that Megan and I created into our PHA. Because all of our data shows, again, culture impacts outcomes, how people feel and what they do. Our faculty and staff continue to believe it is so important for Ohio State to promote health and wellness. I am constantly working with our leaders because there's questions on that culture scale. How does your leadership support your health and well-being? As you'll see on this slide, that's an area we have to improve on. Managers I've mentioned are key. So we're doing a lot of programming with our managers. And the good news on this data from last year, people responded more that managers are being more supportive of their health and their well-being. We are constantly working on engagement, making sure people can take off some time at work to go to our evidence-based programs. We're always working on communication. We have opportunities to continue to improve on those. If you're a Buckeye Wellness Innovator in the room right now, can you stand real quick so we can give you active applause? I cannot give you enough of vitamin G for all you do across our university. You are our force in the grassroots because you deal with your colleagues. You share communication about wellness activities. You write grants that we fund, many of you, to enhance health and well-being in your units. So thank you to each and every one of you. We so appreciate you. Faculty and staff perception of their own health actually remained pretty stable over the course of the pandemic. We want everybody to say and really believe, I do have good health. And if you don't feel you do, we want to help you to get there. Symptoms of burnout did increase year over year. We, though, are less than the national average. But if you still look at the number of people who have one or more symptoms of burnout, or they say, I am burnt out totally, it's still about 30% of our population. And so again, it's really important we're aware of burnout. What are the symptoms? if you tend to be a little cranky at times and you don't understand why, could it be maybe you're feeling like you're burning out? So the key here is to become aware of it and hopefully not get to stage 4 or 5. And say to yourself, if you are burnt out, I got to do something different. I got to get help if it's interfering with my functioning, my concentration, and I got to start prioritizing a little self-care better. And I've got to still engage in activities that bring me joy, because we don't want to see people get to being burnt out, because then they're not happy, they're not engaged, they're not productive. And these are some key strategies to really decrease and prevent burnout. You hear me pound the drum on these activities every single year. But think about this fact. We only process 10% of what we hear at any one time. So I use that evidence to say, you might have not processed this last time. And I'm going to repeat it again. If we could get every Buckeye to just do these things, we could eliminate 80% of chronic disease. And wouldn't that be great? So it takes, on average, 30 to 66 days to make or break a habit. Out of those behaviors I just showed you, pick just one. Just one. If you only engage in activity 10 minutes twice a week, say I'm going to do 15 minutes twice a week. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. We have so many fabulous evidence-based programs for you to engage in. Just do them. Even if you don't feel like it, do something anyway, because seriously, so many of these programs can so help you achieve your optimal health and well-being. And let's leave this state of health and wellness today with a commitment to take and give a dose of vitamin G every day for ourselves and somebody else around us. If you're a supervisor or manager, we have awesome resources for you. Please check them out, but do more than that. Put into practice some of these recommendations. And for those of you who are faculty, we have a fabulous faculty toolkit now for how to integrate wellness into academic programming. Help us build the best caring and well culture that we can have so that all of our Buckeyes can really thrive. With that, I want to introduce my fabulous collaborator, Dr. Melissa Shivers, who's is Senior Vice President for Student Life. Melissa and I know we've got to work together for the greater good, and we are very focused on doing that. So please help me welcome Melissa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Vern, I can't decide if I'm thrilled or depressed about the data, but for one thing, I'm definitely inspired and encouraged. I arrived at Ohio State right before the pandemic. And one of the things that I realized very quickly is that adapting some sort of healthy behavior regimen during a time when it was probably the most stressful experience of my entire life would be really critical. I'm not suggesting at all that I did it well every day, but certainly working with a fabulous team of people, working every single day to help Ohio State to remain open and to keep our students healthy and safe, it was going to be really important that I also was able to provide support and encouragement to each and every one of them. So the data that you provide us, Bern, really helps us as leaders to be able to center health and well-being and to really think about how we operationalize that every day in our own work. So thank you so much for your leadership in that space. I'm not going to tell you goodbye because we're not there yet. Again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. And it is indeed such an honor to be a part of this conversation today. This opportunity to be able to really just focus on ourselves and think about the ways that we can enhance our own health and well-being, while at the same time making sure that we're able to pour into others. When Bern invited me to participate as a speaker today, I learned that the theme for this year's program is hope, dreams, and connection. This kept coming back to my mind while I was considering what I would share with you all today, particularly about the importance of connection and how important it is to initiate connection with others. I recently learned about one of the longest longitudinal studies of individuals' health and happiness, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, which began in 1938 and is still ongoing. It finds that having positive relationships is one of the biggest predictors of longevity and happiness. Relationships are more important in some instances than exercise, money, achievement, or even a healthy diet in predicting living a long life and overall happiness. I've been reading a truly life-changing book, and I had the opportunity to meet our 19th Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy. During this meeting, he talked very candidly with individuals who were presidents at various institutions across the country about the importance of addressing and thinking about loneliness, about the importance of connection. And he actually wrote a book during the pandemic that really highlights the significance of having connection and engagement with other people. I'd like to share with you all just a few excerpts from the book and hopefully encourage you to also read it. When we become chronically lonely, most of us are inclined to withdraw, whether we mean to or not. What often matters is not the quantity or the frequency of social contact, but the quality of our connections and how we feel about them. Being connected to others gives us a stake in more than just our own interest. Wrong way. I just turned it off. It's fine. Bern, help. There we go. Oh, I don't know what I did, but we're going to try to do it again. Oy vey. Technology. Okay, we're going to keep going, Bern. So I'd like to talk a little bit about connectedness as it relates to the work we all do together. And of course, the impact that this can have on our students. Research suggests that higher education students who have a greater sense of belonging at their institution tend to have higher motivation, more academic self-confidence, higher levels of academic engagement, and higher achievement. This means that higher levels of feeling connected can lead to enhanced outcomes from success metrics like engagement, retention, and persistence. Other studies even indicate that higher levels of connection are linked to improved health and well-being outcomes now and even later in life. Is there someone there that can help advance the slides? Perfect. One more. Thank you so much. At Ohio State, we see this same concept play out. Ohio State undergraduate students who are part of student organizations are 2.3 times more likely to report feeling that they are a member of the Ohio State community and 3.4 times more likely to have relationships with other Ohio State students. The annual Student Life Survey also tells us that students who are involved in at least one campus activity are more likely to have relationships with other Ohio State students, to feel they are part of the Ohio State community, and to be satisfied overall with their experience at Ohio State. Next slide, please. Having said that, in our most recent results from the National College Health Assessment, 55% of Ohio State students screened positive on a scale of loneliness. Data from this year's wellness assessment also found that 44% of undergraduates report they do not have a strong social network. This is very interesting. I think sometimes we believe, of course, they're connected with all the digital engagement platforms, but there's not an exchange of ideas that happens there. It's me reading and scrolling and taking in information, but very little opportunity to have a didactic conversation. The takeaway for me is that even though our students are performing well and seemingly engaged, that doesn't mean that they are immune from feeling alone in the world, emphasizing why connection is even more important. Next slide, please. Of course, given my role, we are focusing on students. However, it's important to point out that the same concepts hold true for our team members. The Mayo Clinic says that adults with strong social support have a reduced risk of many significant health problems. Research from Gallup shows that relationships and connections are critical in driving employee engagement, which leads to a sense of purpose and meaning in our work, motivation to do a good job, and being invested in the success of the organization. Gallup has long contended that having a best friend at work is integral to overall employee engagement and satisfaction. And recently, they have reported this has grown even more during the pandemic. Although, unfortunately, they've seen a 5-point decline in those who say they have such a pal at work. The point is, there is indeed power in making connections for all of us. Next slide, please. So how does this play out? There are countless ways that we can connect with students, and one of these is through mentorship. Earlier this month, I participated on a panel at a national conference with other student affairs vice presidents and scholars, and we talked about how mentorship can actually take several different forms. The first is probably what comes to your mind immediately, which is a formal mentor relationship where someone asks you to mentor them, or you may proactively offer. This generally takes place over a matter of months and really even years. For many years, probably 20 years of my career, I have what I call my own personal kitchen cabinet. And it's a group of longtime mentors who I trust to give me a gut check, to be real, to challenge, and to support me. I may go years without connecting with every single one of them, but when I do, I know that they are there. What happens probably most frequently and organically are those informal mentors we acquire along the way. For students, this can be an ongoing relationship with a supervisor or administrator or staff member with whom they interact regularly, but don't necessarily have a formal agreed upon mentorship arrangement. And as an example, one 2012 study found higher persistence rates in pursuing graduate studies has been linked to institutional mentors sharing their experiences with students as a form of encouragement and engagement. The third type of mentorship that I urge you to all critically consider as you go about your day is observational mentorship. This means that they are watching us, our friends. They are paying attention to everything that we do or what we don't do. And whether they know it or not, students are picking up cues, learnings, and examples from us just by interacting with or even watching us from afar. I do not mean to make you paranoid, but it really is true. I have students tell me all the time, oh, I remember listening to your comments at this event, or I saw you at that event and I remember. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you knew I was there, yet you did. The takeaway for me, and I hope for all of you, is that we are making connections literally all the time. And these opportunities can have significant benefits for students. So I encourage you all to think about ways you can actively contribute to the process. I talked a little earlier about the benefits that naturally come out of interactions with others. To think about this in terms of our 10 dimensions of wellness, a few other examples include looking at emotional wellness. Students don't always need a licensed therapist. Sometimes they just need to talk or even cry, and we, in our roles, can fill that bucket for them. Thinking about career wellness, we can help our students figure out what it means to network and the lessons perhaps that we have learned through our careers about what successful networking looks like or building community and connection looks like. We know that student employees in student life who have guided developmental conversations with their supervisors are much more likely to make connections between their employment and other areas of their life. We can even help contribute to the physical environmental wellness by inviting students to join us on a walk and talk rather than staying cooped up in the office for meetings. Vern, I think that qualifies for the getting up out of the seat. Have you heard about the physician in California who is prescribing time outdoors to parks to improve their mental and physical health? I do think that they are onto something. Next slide, please. The bottom line is that, yes, we are certainly in the education business that is responsible for creating and disseminating knowledge and even producing successful graduates and alumni. And I would also urge, we are also an institution that is centered in the human elements of appreciation, care, support, and connection. For those of you who don't know, these are the student life cultural commitments that really help to amplify our university's shared values. We use these cultural commitments to really tell people, to each other and to the students that we serve, that this is what you can expect when you engage with someone from the Office of Student Life. This is what you can expect as you attend programs. This is what you can expect as we're talking in meetings and one-to-ones. We center everything we do around these cultural commitments. Last slide, please. In closing, I invite you all to pause for just a second and think about a person or people without whom your life would not be the same. We can all be that person for students if we just give ourselves and the students time to harness the power of connections. Thank you all so much for your time today. Thank you for showing up for yourself, your families, and also the wonderful students and staff and partners that you get the chance to work with every day. It's members like you that help us to operationalize our focus, in particular in the Office of Student Life, in creating opportunities and spaces for our students and staff to engage, learn, and thrive. Thank you all.
Another round of applause for Melissa. Thank you for all you do for our students and helping us to build a great culture. It gives me great pleasure. This is one of the favorite things that we do every year for our awards. And we are going to start with our fabulous Buckeye Wellness Innovators. No. Okay, we are flexible and adaptable, so we just roll with it. But I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Megan Amaya. Megan was one of the very first people that I hired at Ohio State 12 years ago as my director of health promotion. She is such a great collaborative partner with me in our wellness initiatives across the university. Megan, I remain so grateful for you.
All right. Thanks, Bern, so much. That was so special to hear. Well, I'm going to be presenting, I have the honor of presenting the Manager Supervisor Awards. And incidentally, I started the BWI program with Bern back in 2011. So I am highly linked to it, but Nicole is going to present those awards. So these Manager Supervisor Awards are actually from 2022. They were nominated in the fall months, and so we're presenting them today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the reasons why these folks were nominated, and then we'll congratulate them. So I'll go through them pretty quickly. And do you have a clicker up here? Is this? Oh, I've never done one like this before. Okay, good. All right. So give me just a couple minutes to read through these rationales and why these folks were nominated. And then again, we'll congratulate them. So Stacy Getcha, and you can see Stacy's picture and her title and where she comes from here at the university. She was nominated by Jennifer Smith. Stacy encourages health and wellness in her department through a variety of modes. Her staff, they have mental health buddies that are assigned to each other, which is super neat. And they check in with each other every other week. Meetings are encouraged to be outside, especially when the weather cooperates. Walking meetings, of course. The group has team initiatives and events where all are included in discussions, especially pertaining to their team goals. Stacy helps staff feel that they are important, that they matter, and that well-being is also a priority. Additionally, Stacy grants requests for flex work arrangements, allows telecommuting, flex work arrangement policies she supports, and also flexible workday start and end times. Overall, Stacy encourages a healthy work-life balance. Stacy is online at the moment. She wasn't able to be here in person, and we'll congratulate you, Stacy, here in just a moment. So Beth, the picture below Stacy, was nominated by Amy Reddick, and you can see again Beth's title and where she is at the university. Beth pays special attention and cares for professional development in particular, and especially related to individuals in their first jobs, their first careers. She supports financial well-being opportunities amongst her staff, establishes programs that create for the team, the wellness team, creates programs and those challenges that supports everyone across the staff. She respects the first job individuals, their learning needs for professional development, emotional well-being, creates opportunities for compassion among all of her team members. Beth is supportive of her staff, involved in YP4H challenges, the EAP she endorses and encourages, and also the BEST program for those of you who are in the medical center. So Beth, we'll invite you up in the moment because Beth is actually with us today. Gina Nicholson Kramer, the top picture, nominated by Ashley Seller. You can see Gina's title and where she's located again in the university. Gina often checks in on mental health of the staff as well as students in her department. And she's always willing to support the staff and students through professional development, goal setting, job searching, career direction. They even got a donation together for a student in particular who needed some help. So that was really neat to read. Gina shows genuine interest in what is going on in the lives outside of work of her staff members. She includes all staff and management team decisions, encourages ideas, discussions on how best to run the team, meeting breaks, and brings in food for staff. Everybody likes food, right? Encourages socializing while on meeting breaks. Gina empowers her staff, makes everyone feel seen and heard. Gina is unable to be here, but I believe her colleague, Laura, is accepting an award on her behalf, and we'll bring you up here in just a moment, Laura. And our last nominee, Sarah Waugh, and again, you can see who Sarah is and where she works, nominated by Chris Dalton. Sarah walks the talk, actively participating by taking walks, playing tennis, encouraging others to join her. She is a big proponent of health and wellness, making her department a safe space to bring up concerns, to help individuals better their health. She not only gives space for those discussions, she helps people make healthier choices, promotes and encourages the wellness programs that we offer here at OSU. She is a wonderful advocate. And this was a great testament in this nomination form. The individual who nominated Sarah said she is in better health because of Sarah. That's awesome. Again, Sarah's unable to be here today. We're going to congratulate her from afar. So please join me in congratulating all of our awardees, as well as all those who were nominated for what they are doing to support health and wellness at OSU. Thank you so much. And Beth and Laura, if you just want to come up, hopefully you're here. And Stacy, congratulations to you somewhere in the virtual land on Zoom. So, and Bern, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Oh. Beth. We're going to take a quick photo. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks so much. Awesome. Thanks for all you do. Now come real quick. Oh, quick. Other side. Here you
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And this is for Laura, right?
Okay.
Here, there you go. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Now it's time for our Buckeye Wellness Innovator Awards. I'm going to call up Nicole, who is a fabulous member of our Buckeye Wellness team, to present and do the honors to our BWIs.
Right. Hello, everyone. All right. I love the energy. All right. So I am here to announce the Buckeye Wellness Innovators of the Year. Very excited to be here and do this. We have 2 different awards that we're giving out, and we'll do similar thing the last time. We'll go through them and then bring everyone up at the end. So first up, we're going to start with Mary Whiteman. The wellness group that Mary supports includes approximately 56 individuals across East Hospital, OSU Wexner Medical Center, as well as OSU, from administrative leaders to clinical care teams. Mary leads weekly on-site wellness walks and donations to the Longstreet Little Pantry. She supports Ohio State Wexner Medical Center's veteran ERG donation requests, creates and organizes YP4H challenges for her team, coordinates water happy hours and on-site lunches. Additionally, Mary highlights BESA volunteer opportunities, established teams, and serves as team captains for local walks and runs, leads an annual Green Thumb plant exchange, and constructs a curated list of wellness challenges that reflect all 10 dimensions of wellness. So congratulations, Mary. We'll bring you up in a second. And then next up, we have the BWI group from Administration and Planning. The Office of Administration and Planning, Buckeye Wellness Innovator Team highlights Department BWI's goals, resources, and initiatives on their A&P website in department emails, newsletters, digital signage, and meetings to create awareness, excitement, and interest in well-being while promoting a culture of care for staff. They partner with multiple areas, including A&P Diversity Council, Office of Student Life, College of Engineering, and others on wellness events and activities to foster connections across campus. Wellness means different things to all of us, so staff are encouraged to explore their interests and share information with their colleagues. Individual A&P departments also schedule activities that support multiple dimensions of wellness, whether it's hopping on the Buckeye Wellness blender bike to make a healthy smoothie, which is a lot of fun, participating in team standing and walking meetings, demonstrating proper breathing techniques, creating a wellness garden for staff to enjoy, joining a community walk or run together, and more. A&P BWIs bring creative ideas and energy to the table to tailor activities for their departmental needs. So congratulations to A&P and all of you. And Mary Whiteman, if you all want to come up here, we can give you your awards and certificates. And I just want to say thank you for all that you do for bringing wellness to your team. We really need the support in those grassroots to help spread wellness. So thank you all so much. And come on up here, we'll get your awards. We have a lot. Yeah.
Have one. Okay. I know.
Figure those were right spaces. Thank you.
Yeah. We're looking for Mary. Mary, come up for a special. So, yes. It is so great to see so many BWIs from one unit. And I will tell you, those colleges and units, hospitals that have more BWIs, they do typically have better health and wellness outcomes. So if you're in with us today listening, please consider becoming a BWI. Our goal in the next couple of years is 1,000. We can do that. Thanks, Mary. It's now time for me to present 2 high-level leadership awards. The first, and the provost is meeting with our governor, so she has a good excuse for not being with us live today. I will tell you, Dr. Melissa Gilliam has been so supportive of what we do in wellness ever since she stepped foot in Buckeye Nation. As she did in her strategic plan, she integrated wellness and tied it to the academic plan. I will never forget an early meeting with Melissa when she said, Bern, what can I do to help you on the wellness front? And I said, would you please put a charge out to all the deans that they have to integrate wellness into their college strategic plans? Next week, it was done. So it gives me great pleasure to present one of our university-wide high-level leadership awards to our provost, Dr. Melissa Gilliam. She couldn't be with us, so she recorded a message for us. Please play.
Thank you. It's a real honor to be recognized for the Buckeye Wellness Executive Leadership Award. Wellness is really important to me. I've had a pretty busy career. I'm a doctor, a researcher, a faculty member, an administrator, have children. So I've always had to work pretty hard in my life. And so what I realized is that you have to take care of yourself if you're going to be able to take care of others. So I've had to insist on including wellness. Given the dynamic times we live in, it's important to prioritize our physical and mental health. So I'm pretty committed to issues of wellness. I get up early in the morning and work out each day. I spend time also thinking about the things that I'm grateful for, which is really helpful to focus one's mind on positive things. I also have a treadmill under my desk, so you will see me in the middle of a Zoom call walking away, and then I try to be thoughtful about what I eat. In the Office of Academic Affairs, we take wellness and quite seriously. So we started a culture committee, and this committee has been fantastic. They have developed a luncheon yoga and meditation session. We spend a lot of time laughing and celebrating, but I also believe in flexibility and making sure that people have the time and space to take care of themselves and their family. And there are lots of ways to get one's work done, so it's really important that we put our families first.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. And it gives me such great pleasure to present our other Executive University-wide Leadership Award this year to a person I consider my dear friend, in addition to colleague, Molly Rance Calhoun, who is Senior Vice President of Alumni Relations, President and CEO of our Buckeye Alumni Association. I will tell you, Molly has been so incredibly supportive of wellness. Her team specifically has told me she really cares about them, which is so important for well-being of our people. Molly always, anytime I've ever asked her to do anything for wellness, she's all about it. And we are currently planning a Wellness at Sea cruise, which I can't confirm 100% yet, but I think it's really going to be popular with our alums. So Molly, it gives me great pleasure to present our Executive Leadership Award for Wellness to you this year.
Thanks. Set this down. Thanks, Bern. So it brings me great joy when I think about how far this university has come over the years in terms of the culture of wellness, and especially since Bern has been here. So I can remember in 2011 when President Gee said he was going to hire a chief wellness officer. I have to admit, at some point I was like, what the hell is that? But in looking at that, I realized that we were the only university even thinking about a chief wellness officer, which really made me realize how valuable that was to the university and the commitment that we had made. So, and I've been thankful for that ever since then. It's been awesome. I had years in student life. It was great, the things that we were able to do there in terms of wellness. And now I have a great opportunity to work with some magnificent people in the Alumni Association as well. So I am honored to receive this award from this group in particular. I mean, you guys are all so passionate about what you do and taking care of our whole Buckeye community, and I appreciate that greatly. I also realize that it takes a village to make this happen, and I am incredibly proud to be working with a group at the Alumni Association now who is doing amazing things for us. And we have a couple of our Buckeye Wellness innovators over there in the corner. Mary and Kristen are here, and they have done some amazing work with the Alumni Association, giving us opportunities, leveraging what you all are doing across the university, but also within just advancement in terms of helping us make good, healthy choices for ourselves. So I appreciate that tremendously. Now, of course, we have to do it. They do it under the vision of what we call SHINE. And because we are a place of higher education, it has to be an acronym. So SHINE stands for, wait a minute, let me get this right. Support, health, inspiration, nutrition, and energy. Exercise, yes. So we are very proud of everything that they do there. And it's just really nice to know that I'm working with colleagues who understand that if we don't take care of ourselves, there's no way we can take care of the 600,000 alumni across the world. So I appreciate that and everything that they do. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity also to remind all of you that we have this wonderful wellness opportunity coming up in August. And that is Pelotonia 15. So if any of you, I am looking for more writers. So if any of you are interested, I am honored this year to be the co-chair of Team Buckeye with Provost Gilliam. And we would love to have all of you come out and ride with us. She and I will both be riding, so I would love that opportunity. So if anybody's interested, please let me know. But thank you again. I will continue to be, I am honored to get this award, and I will continue to be steadfast in helping the university be a leader in health and wellness and anything that we can do. And Bern and I will work on that 600,000 alumni. Thank you. Thanks, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Molly, we ride Pelotonia, so I'm glad you gave a call out for that. Now I need a drum roll. Josh, I don't think we planned for that, but thank you. I am going to launch our next wellness theme for next year. And the person that's going to help us launch it, I am so excited for you to hear from today. The wellness theme next year is going to be finding silver linings through adversity, the power of story. Well, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Sarah Lagrateria, who is the head educator at Just Bloom School and the founder of 3 diverse companies. If you've ever had the pleasure of listening to one of our own professors, Dr. Angus Fletcher's pioneering theory of creativity, it's fabulous. And I'm sure, Sarah, you are just as wonderful as Angus. In 2019, Sarah was honored as one of 50 women nationwide as Tory Burch Foundation Fellow for Women in Business, known for bringing clarity and individual attention to her workshops. Sarah inspires industry leaders, school educators, and small business professionals to unearth and deploy the stories that make them resilient and uniquely able to drive change in their organization. Please help me welcome Sarah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Bern. It's such an honor to be here. I have to admit, I have been sitting here, listening to all that's been said, and my imagination has just been pinging and wondering how different might my experience at my university have been if such an investment had been made way back then in just well-being for everybody, all the citizens of the university. And so I'm thinking too of all the changes you all have inspired that you're not even aware of yet. And it's so inspiring. So let me check my slides here. Here we go. Today I'm here and I get to talk about my favorite topic in the whole world, which is the power of story. But specifically, I get to talk about the power of your story. At Just Bloom, we study the neuroscience of creativity. And as Byrne said, we're pioneering a theory of creativity, and it's one that's based in narrative or story. We call it story thinking. Story thinking is exactly what it sounds like. It's thinking in terms of character, in terms of setting or world building. It's thinking in terms of plot or action, and it's thinking in terms of narrators. And what we've discovered in the research that we've done, and we do our research with really a varied group of subjects, starting with elementary school children right here in Worthington, Ohio, military officers and leaders, and C-suite executives throughout the country. And the results have been the same. Thinking in story yields powerful changes. Story thinking significantly boosts creativity and innovation. And it does this because story is what activates our deep brain activity. And our deep brain, we know now, is where about 95% of our creativity comes from. Other creativity training based on previous knowledge focuses on the memory and the logic centers of our brain. That's where about 5% of our creativity has come from. So we're really focusing on unleashing all that powerful creativity that hasn't been used before. But for the reason I'm here today, of course, is to talk more about the wellness benefits of story. And those results have also been consistent in all the subjects we've studied. People who think in story show significant increases in emotional and psychological resilience, in bounce back, in optimism, and in self-efficacy. So the belief that they can solve their own problems. So what are we going to do today that's going to help you be able to activate those benefits, those wellness benefits of story thinking? And how can we help you not only activate it for yourself, but also start to activate it for the people around you, whether it's people in your organization, students you work with. And I know I saw a lot of hands for people who had children at home. Definitely something you can do with them. The key is finding your own unique story. First, I want to bust a few myths about story. The first big myth about story that we always hear is that story is for communicating to others. The truth is that the most important story that we can tell is the story we tell ourselves. The second big myth about story is that story is ultimately for marketing. And now we hear this and we get this message from all corners. It's begun to run rampant, especially in the last 10 or 15 years with the advent of social media, right? We are told that we need to come up with the most succinct, most universally appealing way to tell a story about ourselves, about our organizations, about our products, about our business. We are told we need to brand ourselves, right? As efficiently and as in a way that is universally appealing. But the truth is, the most powerful story or the most powerful version of a story isn't that universally appealing version. It's the true version, the one that might be a little longer, might have some warts, might be a little less attractive, but will resonate because of its specificity and its uniqueness. It will resonate with its audience and it will stick. So the one thing that I would love for you all to leave knowing today is this, that the most powerful stories are true versions of stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. So I'm going to repeat that because this is the culmination of busting those two myths. The most powerful stories are the true stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. These are the stories we're losing to the modern world. And again, a lot of that goes back to social media. These are the stories that our children, as they become interested and involved on social media and in branding and positioning themselves at younger ages, they're falling out of touch with those stories even sooner. We're being encouraged to tell our stories on social media and in other platforms in ways that will garner likes, right? And in order to do that, we tell stories that are captioned, that are filtered, that are edited, that are tweaked, that are simply a little left of the truth. Sometimes we're even grabbing templates online or from other feeds that are maybe more quote unquote successful than ours and borrowing them and using them to shape our own stories. And what happens when we do this is we're creating stories that are quick to digest and just as quick to be forgotten. And when we tell stories publicly, whether it's on a website, in person, or over social media, about ourselves that we don't fully believe about ourselves, we lose the power of our own self-belief. This is a danger zone. We start to get alienated from the truth of our own stories. And when that happens, those stories are no longer a source of resilience or motivation or strength for us. And it's not only that we are not telling stories about ourselves that are true, right? We're not only tweaking our own stories to make them more palatable to an audience, we're also no longer seeking out stories about other people that are unique and true and maybe a little weird, those really sort of odd, interesting stories that resonate. Social media is encouraging us just to scroll endlessly and digest stories quickly. And all the research shows that what happens when we do that is we're left feeling restless and unhappy. And we've got no time or energy or incentive to search out the stories that will make us feel better. We're feeling sad in a sea of generic stories. So why I'm here today is to propose an antidote to that sea of genericism and to ask you to join the resistance by practicing story thinking. How do we do this? I want you all to find your own unique story. And I want you to play it on repeat in your mind, not necessarily telling it to anybody else, but repeating it over and over again until it's a habit. I want you to tell yourself a story about yourself that your brain recognizes as being true. Because your brain, as you all know, is a very smart thing. And if you continually tell it that same version of your story that you tell on your Instagram feed or whatever feed you might use, that's maybe not totally true, your brain gets a very specific message. It hears from you that the only way to be successful is to tell a lie. The only way to succeed is to tell an altered version of your story. And we know that that's not true. The most powerful versions of these stories are ones in which you surprised yourself by overcoming an unexpected challenge. Okay, so these are stories in which you overcame an unexpected challenge. Guess who does this all the time? Who do you know that overcomes unexpected challenges on a daily basis? You have them at home. They make a mess. They run around. Anyone? Kids. Yes, kids. Children do this daily. They are constantly overcoming unexpected challenges. That's actually why I included this last image, because my daughter went to her first lacrosse game last week after one practice. She was told, "You're in goal." Oh boy. Guess what her story is this week? Because my kids are trained to do this. "Mom, I'm the girl who got stuck in goal and stayed." She played the whole game. Now, she doesn't have to be a dramatic story of a huge victory. She didn't have to save the game by catching that ball, or it's a ball, right? Not a puck. She didn't have to catch it. She just stayed. That's a true story. It rings true. Her brain recognizes it as true. She is telling herself this. She is the girl who did this. My son was the only boy in first grade who couldn't read. That's his story. I'm the boy who couldn't read and had to learn. These are small things. But when you think about it, when we're kids, we have to learn to tie our shoes. And when we become adults, we forget that these were accomplishments. And that's what I want you not to do. I want you to find that accomplishment that you did, because we see that when adults go back and find those moments and begin to repeat them, they start to feel more confident in their abilities that they can do it moving forward. I'm the girl who was born so ill that she was given a spinal tap on the day she was born and was never expected to survive. I'm the girl who was never expected to survive and who did. That's the story that rings true for me. Now, your job is to mark those moments for kids. Get them to start framing it. Mom, I went to swim lessons. I'm nervous about the deep end and I jumped in twice. Get them used to telling their stories that way. The work will begin to happen in their brains. It will become a lodestar for them, a way to feel more confident moving forward, and it will do the same for you. The second part of your task is not to tell your story. Because if you walk around and start telling it, we're right back stuck in that marketing trap I spoke about earlier, when other people are going to listen to your story and they're going to think, oh, I need a story like that one, instead of finding their own unique one. What I want you to do is talk to the people in your organization, the people in your department, the people you love and at home. Help them find their moments in the past where they overcame a challenge like that. Let them find their own story. So how do we find your story? You're going to make a list of moments of positive change in your life. You don't have to do it right now, but I mean, if you're ready, go for it. Think about those moments of positive change. Maybe it is when you learn to tie your shoe. Maybe it is when you learn to read. And think about specifically, what were the external prompts or challenges that motivated that change? And then what happened internally that made up your response? And it's that tension between the external challenge and your internal response to it that makes it a story, right? There's that moment of tension. There's that conflict. And then I want you to craft your story. I'm the person who does X, Y, or Z when this happens. Or when this happens, I'm the person who. It's simple. It's really simple, but you have to actually do it and practice it. And when you tell yourself that story repeatedly in your mind, thinking it, not saying it, it becomes your own personal wellspring of resilience and creativity. And I want you to hold it dear, and I want you to visit it often, and I want you to pull it up and say it. And I want it to become so habitual that anytime you feel yourself feeling slightly bit like, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to accomplish that, you're going to remember you're the boy who jumped into the deep end twice when he was afraid to. Your story is the most powerful story. Thank you.
Sarah gave us like a whole workshop in 10 minutes. So another round of applause. Thank you, Sarah. So lastly, here's our chart, right? We had over 5,000 Buckeyes do this 155 challenge. We got feedback on this simple challenge that was fantastic. People really saying just 11 minutes for me in the morning to do 1 minute of gratitude, 5 minutes of reading or listening to something positive, and 5 minutes of movement made all the difference in the world. Please leave today and say, I'm going to do 155 for the next 66 days. It'll become a habit, and watch how much better you feel emotionally and physically. Thank you for coming to State of Health and Wellness in Buckeye Nation. Please continue to help us build such a great culture of well-being. And last but not least, go Buckeyes.